Good evening, ma'am. So I hope everything is good.
Everything is perfectly fine by God's grace. How are you doing? Hope everybody is good at in your family, at your end.
Ye-
Everybody is fine.
Yes, everybody is good. So we have come up today to discuss about and know more about POSH from you because it is a very last touch topic. You have to walk us through it. We all want to know more about it and get acknowledged from you about POSH, what it is exactly all about.
So surely I
So
will address all your relevant questions. So kindly ask, and I will download the information or the content that I have.
sure. So first of all, the basic main question is what is POSH exactly all about?
So okay, so you must have heard that the sexual exploitation. There are rights of women. See, there had not been any act which had come when we talk about the workplace compliances, and specifically when we talk about the right of a woman to live with dignity at the workplace, perform her functions, perform her duties at the workplace with the dignity that is to be given to her. If we even talk about the Constitution, it gives us the right of freedom, to be living the way that or living with dignity. So prevention of sexual harassment against women had always been prevalent. If I do have to talk about the origin of this act, Vishakha guidelines was a blueprint for this act, and from where this act came in 2013 was when this act came in practice, and implementation became much stringent and stronger in 2016 onwards. So this is an act which safeguards the right of women at the workplace. So while we say workplace would mean it starts from your maid coming in and serving you in your household, to all the gyms, the spa, the institutes, the government, private, and the public sector. It covers all the workplaces, and it helps the women to ensure that she's safe, secured in the work environment that she's working in.
Okay. Thank you so much for explaining in so easy words to all of us and telling us about that it comes from and begins from the stage of being a maid to being a CEO to every level. It's for everyone. Thank you so much for telling us it about what it's about. So now what I want to know more about, or maybe everyone wants to know about, is that how to proceed if one faces any sexual harassment or any issues, then how to proceed, because we basically want to know more. How can an employee, being any employee who is paid by someone, we are under their pressure that okay, we are being paid, our money will be stuck if we take any action. So how to proceed, and with that fear, how to decide whether to proceed or not, so whether it is right or not. So please guide us on that.
Surely, I guess it's a very logical question, a very logical ask. So primarily, you have to understand that there is an ICC. When we say ICC, that is an internal complaint committee. Okay, now, firstly, before even going on to that, I would want to explain here that why is the POSH compliance important? People don't know much about the POSH compliances, and then when they get to know about the POSH compliances, they are not able to abide by it because they don't know that what is the penalties or the punishments attached to it. So if your organization is not a POSH compliant organization, you are subjected to a fine ranging from 50,000 to 80,000 rupees, or there is always a danger for you, your business license could get cancelled. So these are the penalties attached with it. It's important for you to have an ICC if it is, if okay. Now, who all need to be POSH compliant? Who do we consider to be a workplace, right? So if, because as I have referred this example before, so I'm referring it to now also, that the maid in the household has some issues and concerns, so there is no ICC, there is no LCC. So her complaint will be addressed to the police station, the local police thana, right? But if the complaint is of LCC, which is the local complaint committee, and the ICC, so primarily in every organization there has to be essentially an ICC, which is the internal complaint committee, or the internal committee as we popularly know it as. So there has to be essentially an internal complaint committee, which needs to be made by the given organization, and a female who is the aggrieved woman who is a complainant will reach out to the IC members, any of the IC members who are there, the part of the committee, and will address them the complaint. Now, what is a POSH complaint? That is very important to know what is a sexual offense and what is not a sexual offense. Now, somebody basically, because there is a lot of, when the ICC also listens to your complaint, the possibility is that they understand that your complaint is of serious nature, or they just rebuff it, stating that your complaint is not at all a serious matter. So if somebody is giving you a comment, okay, somebody is giving you a comment on the pimple on your skin, say somebody says that you have a pimple on your skin, depends on how the recipient has taken or perceived it to be. That is one. Second is that in which manner or what manner is it told to her. Say, for example, the male, quite a possibility, is staring from the top to bottom, and after staring her in all indecency, he says so that you have a pimple on your skin. So while then that goes in a different context altogether, right? And while there are witnesses to it, there are other people also, and there is a gathering, there are 4-5 people sitting, and one could be produced as a witness also, and very jokingly somebody says, you know what, you have a pimple on your skin. So that is not a sexual complaint at all. Wherein the witnesses are there, wherein they are viewing it, then that would not be a complaint, POSH complaint. But yes, if somebody has been giving such kind of, passing on such kind of gestures or remarks to a woman or a lady or a female, then that lady knows, and if this thing also happens in the same context indecently, then of course a sexual complaint will be registered, depending on the circumstances and the situations.
Okay. So I would want to know more about ICC, that how is it formed and how does it work?
See, ICC, as I've already explained it to you, that ICC is the internal committee, which is essential and important for any given organization. There is an LC also, local complaint committee also. In some of the organizations, it's a smaller organization, then they generally go for an LCC, the local complaint committee. And the ICC is a very well constructed, the structure is very, very well constructed. It should have one presiding officer who is a woman of power or in power within the organization, with 2 members. You must have been to quorums, so in the similar kind of a structure follows in there, that one presiding officer, a lady, a woman of power, supported by 2 women who would be members. Okay, and it is not only about women, it is also about males. So say the ratio remains 50-50. If there are going to be 2 male members, then there are going to be 2 female members. Likewise, it is always better to construct it that way, so that it is not biased for women, and males also can give their point of view. Apart from which, there is one external person. External person is hired because that person will have an unbiased view to the proceedings of the ICC committee, and that person could be a female, again, of somebody to be doing work on social work, or maybe an advocate, or maybe somebody representing an NGO. That is the structure of an ICC. Then the complaint also, 6 copies of the complaint needs to be filed. People don't know about it, but there are always 6 copies. Why this is 6 copies? Because most of the people of IC want 1 copy each for them, and 1 also needs to be served to the respondent, because people don't serve, say people don't even know then why is it that a person is considered to be ill-treating the women, or probably sexually suggesting the remarks to the women? He doesn't even know what complaint is against him. So how do you even expect a person to be responding to a complaint when you've not been even served a copy of the complaint? So it's essential, and it is per the rules, per the act, that a copy of the complaint also needs to be served to the respondent.
Okay.
Yes.
So, before proceeding to the courts for any such offense, we first need to go to ICC, and then we have to proceed to the courts, right?
So okay, so say for example, if it is a workplace, now even if the complaint goes on to a police official, the police official under this particular act calls, say for example, if you or anybody else is an aggrieved woman and the complaint gets registered, to the police station, nearby police station, without you informing in the organization, because many a times what happens is that the POSH policy is not exhibited. People don't even know about the ICC. So what they generally do is, if there is a complaint, they reach out to the police station. Now what the IO would do, what the investigating officer as a first step is going to do is, they will call on the school, or they will call on your workplace, and they will ask that whether a POSH complaint was registered or not. So this is a serious mandatory compliance, which is now followed also. And in case you have not constructed a POSH committee, you do not have an ICC, people don't even know about it, then then you are at a great risk, because even the police officials also as a first step will call at the organization to know and understand what is the action taken in the POSH compliances, under the POSH compliances for the women. How did the workplace safeguard her?
Okay. So, one more thing I want to know, that is there anything as mandatory that there should be some awareness camps
Yes,
organized or
yes,
something?
yes, yes. So primarily, this is under the POSH compliances also. Then that the POSH policy one needs to be drafted. The ICC members should be well mentioned there. The POSH policy should be exhibited in the work premises. In your work premises, the POSH policy also has to be exhibited nicely, right? And uh, what exactly did you ask? I missed on one
I
point.
asked you about the awareness programs
Yes, so
and
POSH
telling
compliances,
people.
we call them as POSH awareness programs. Then there are the POSH awareness programs would mean that if any organization has 500 people working with them, then everybody has to be aware of the POSH compliances, because when the audit happens, they only choose 2 or 3 employees and they only question them, have you heard about POSH? Who is the ICC member? And if they will not know the ICC member, IC member, internal committee member, or the POSH, about the POSH, what happens, what is a sexual offense, what is not a sexual offense, how is the complaint being handled, or any question that comes in from them and they're not able to answer, then of course there are, in the audit they get stuck. So of course there are POSH compliances, and of course there are POSH awareness sessions. Also these days, even the ICC members are trained, because they don't know how to handle a POSH complaint. They don't know, because now what is happening is that, because the organizations want to be POSH compliant, it is just like a tick in the box. What they've done is that they pulled up their own employees and made them presiding officer, made them members, which is fine. But you need to also train them as to what, because as an employee, they could be good at their roles, but they're not given the training of a POSH Act. With the result, what happens is they don't serve a copy of the complaint to the respondent. They don't even know how to be holding the POSH inquiries. There is a lot of gossip mongering. I don't know, you read it about or not. There had been a matter of various different brands. You see in the newspaper, you will look at the level of debranding or anti-branding that is happening. That is absolutely destroying the image of the organizations. So there had been an employee of GE organization who was 35 years of age. He has had such allegations against him. There was a matter going on POSH in the ICC. Now what happened was that his wife was also working in the same organization, GE only. This person committed a suicide. Why? Because there was so much of gossip mongering within the organization, and so much of bad mouthing against him, that we need to be the ICC members need to be trained. that they do not have to get into gossip mongering, and there are punishments if they do that, right, to it. So they were not probably trained well, and then he committed suicide. It was a very, very sad episode which had happened, and it was all across media, all across the newspaper. So meaning what? That there is going to be awareness, not only in the terms of the POSH compliances, but also, and I guess that's a grave need, that is a stronger need than even training the employees on the POSH compliances. It's a stronger need to be training the ICC members and training them fully, so that they are able to at least handle a complaint well. You are destroying the career of people. Many people, the ICC keeps on only destroying. They shunt out an employee, they terminate the employee, stating that these are the allegations against you. And when the employee wants to file an appeal, this is so sarcastic and ironical that the employee does not even have the copy of the decision or has any note pertaining to the ICC proceedings also, because there had not been any proceedings. That's sad.
Absolutely, ma'am. You are absolutely correct. Thank you so much for acknowledging us, walking us through all these things. I'm so sure that everyone must be acknowledged with it, must be very happy to hear from you about these things. Being a POSH expert, learning from you, it's a great experience for all of us. Thank you so much, ma'am, and we'll be coming with more such such videos on POSH and other allied subjects super soon. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so
We're
much.
glad to have you on board.
Thank you so much, Ashna. Thank you for all questions. Thank you very much for